Deep in the rural countryside of Maine, hidden behind twisted pines and swallowed by creeping fog, stood the remains of St. Mercy's Sanatorium. Once, in the early 1900s, it was a grand psychiatric hospital, notorious for its controversial treatments, insulin shock therapy, experimental surgeries, and isolation wards that stretched like a maze beneath the ground. By the 1970s, after a series of disappearances and scandals, the hospital was closed. Local legend whispered that the patients never truly left. For decades, the building rotted in silence, its windows black and broken, its walls painted with mold and graffiti. Teenagers dared each other to step inside, but few lasted longer than a few minutes. Those who stayed swore they heard the sound of footsteps dragging through the halls, doors slamming shut when no one was there, and faint sobbing from the underground tunnels. In October of 2012, a small YouTube group specializing in urban exploration, Evan, Rachel, Liam, and Marco, decided to investigate St. Mercy's. Their channel was struggling, and they believed a night inside the infamous hospital could give them the viral push they needed. They arrived just after sunset, armed with cameras, flashlights, and bravado. The gates to the hospital sagged open like jaws waiting to devour them. Evan, the leader, forced a smile. "This is it, guys. One night in St. Mercy's. Let's make history." The moment they crossed the threshold, the air grew colder. Their lights flickered across hallways where paint peeled in strips like shedding skin. The smell was thick, rot, mildew, and something metallic. They set up in the admissions hall, placing cameras at different angles. Rachel read aloud from her phone, recounting the hospital's grim history. Patients locked in solitary confinement for months, lobotomies performed with ice picks, and rumors of a secret ward in the basement where non-compliant patients were taken and never seen again. Marco laughed nervously. Probably just old folklore. But when they played back their first camera test, something appeared on screen, just for a second. Behind Evan, a figure stood in the shadows of the hallway, a tall silhouette, head tilted, watching. None of them had noticed it in real time. They pressed on, adrenaline battling fear. They explored the surgery wing, where rusted operating tables sat beneath dangling lights. Tools lay scattered, frozen in time. Liam swore he heard whispers, low voices overlapping, as if dozens of people were murmuring at once. His flashlight shook as he scanned the empty room. "Guys, it's coming from the vents," he whispered. From the grates in the walls, the whispers seemed to crawl out, curling into the air around them. Rachel covered her ears, pale. Down another corridor, they discovered the isolation cells. Doors reinforced with iron bolts, each with a narrow slot at eye level. Most stood ajar, but one remained shut tight. Scratches covered its surface, deep grooves as if someone had clawed until their nails broke. Evan leaned close, shining his light through the slot. For an instant, he swore he saw an eye staring back. He stumbled back, heart racing. Marco tried the handle, but it wouldn't budge. They hurried away. At midnight, they decided to investigate the basement. The stairwell down was slick with condensation, the air heavy with a suffocating dampness. The further they descended, the stronger the stench grew. Blood and rot mixed into something unbearable. The basement stretched like a labyrinth. Pipes ran along the ceiling, dripping. Faded signs pointed to rooms, Ward C, experimental therapy, and records. Their footsteps echoed, but soon they realized they weren't the only ones making noise. Something shuffled in the dark. Slow, deliberate. Liam raised his camera, and in the beam of light, a figure appeared at the end of the corridor. A tall man in a torn hospital gown, head lolling unnaturally to one side, skin gray and sagging. His mouth opened as if to scream, but no sound came out. The group bolted. Their lights swung wildly as they turned corner after corner. Behind them, more footsteps joined in, dozens, then hundreds, all pounding the floor in pursuit. The air filled with moans, screams, and the metallic slam of unseen doors. They crashed into the records room, slamming the door shut. Inside, shelves of rotting files towered over them. Rachel grabbed a folder, flipping it open with trembling hands. Inside were photos of patients strapped to gurneys, their faces covered by masks, eyes wide with terror. But the last photo wasn't of a patient. It was of them, the 4 explorers, standing in the admissions hall, taken that very night. The door shuddered as something pounded against it. The wood cracked. Evan screamed for everyone to run, but before they could move, the lights died. Total darkness. Cameras caught only fragments after that. Rachel's sobs, Marco yelling, Liam's flashlight dropping to the ground. The footage ended with Evan's voice whispering, calm, almost resigned. "They're not patients. They're still here. And now so are we." The group was never found. Their abandoned van was discovered outside the gates of St. Mercy's, doors open, cameras gone. Locals claimed to see lights in the hospital windows that night, flickering like torches. When police entered weeks later, they found no sign of the explorers. But deep in the basement, on the wall of the records room, words had been scratched into the stone, fresh, jagged, and desperate. "Help us. We can't leave."